I heard a good foot exercise the other day.
A good foot exercise?
Yeah, for your strengthening your foot, the muscles in your foot.
Put it up somebody's ass?
No, no, take it out. Actually,
Take it out of their ass.
no. You put a towel on the floor
Okay.
and you wrinkle that towel up with your toes.
Okay.
Like do it for 2 or 3 minutes every day. And that
Like a paper towel?
no, like a towel, like a bath towel.
Okay.
You got it?
Dude,
Just
where do you
two or
learn this
three
stuff
minutes
at?
a day.
Where do you learn this at?
I'm telling you, I'm an LAD, man.
Yeah, you're something.
Hey, no, you do it standing up. And then when you
You
get to
stand up and crunch it with your toes.
yeah, and then when you get to like higher level, you stand on one foot and do it with one foot. And balance on
Do you
one
just
foot.
make shit up as you go? You just make shit up.
Any predictions on the economy helping your business or hurting it or anything that they're doing?
I think the biggest thing is a lot of our clients or prospective clients, a lot of them, the whole tariff thing is now, we're still waiting on product, or we don't know what to do because our product was 0 tariff. Now it's 34% tariff, so we're just hearing a lot more of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be a rough patch. Anytime you make big changes, there's a period you got to go through a learning curve. They call it, I guess.
Well, yeah, and the thing is you just is what we're doing. Most importantly, beneficial to us, our country, right?
Right.
And if it is, then it's gonna suck, man. It's just things are changing, and
Right.
change always hurts because we get so comfortable where we're at.
Right. Oh yeah.
But I can tell you this: where we were at wasn't where we were supposed to be.
No, it was unsustainable.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can say whatever you want to say, but I don't know. I see more smiles nowadays than anything.
Oh, absolutely. You and me both.
Which goes to this. I saw this quote today. It might be something we can talk about.
All right. You want to start us off, or you want to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's get her going because I'm about to get uncomfortable.
Okay. Good. I got a couple things.
All right. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Let's get uncomfortable.
All right. Let's do it. I agree to do it.
All right. Well, let's hear your shit first. I want to hear what do you got? I know we were talking about something. That was supposed to have been our main topic.
Yeah, I want to talk. That's kind of morphed into something else. But kind of my thought was the material world that we all believe in, and how we think that's the major world, and it's really
to that podcast too
really
much.
not. Yeah, I have, but it makes perfect sense. And I understand it. I can sense it. I can feel it. I mean, you can too if you think about it. After you got sober and you worked the program and you did your step work and you cleared out a lot of that bullshit. I mean, you noticed, because we talked about it, people were different around you, stuff like that. So strange people would talk to you. So.
Yes.
Anyway, it's kind of wanted to get into that, but it had some other stuff come up. But I just felt like crap yesterday. I don't know what the hell the deal was, but I just couldn't get over feeling like shit all day long. So I've been trying to experience a cold has been trying to come into my area that I've been holding out.
Yeah.
And managed to keep it out. So it's kind of a little bit in my sinuses a little bit, but nothing like it would be normally. So I got the defenses up.
All right. Well, sometimes we're supposed to get that.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, I just hate that feeling of it's depressing. So I hate that depressing feeling. So
Well,
don't bring back that depressing feeling.
isn't that all interpretation?
I think a lot of it is. It was one of those, we've been doing the Jocko thing for meditation, and it was one of those days where I'm like, I don't want to do it. I just didn't have it in me to do it. And then I start reading it because I'm like, now it's discipline. We already talked about this. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm just going to do it anyway, but I'm not, I couldn't get there. So I kind of read the words, but
Yeah.
I just didn't. Anyway, I just felt like crap. I don't know what the deal was. Today was a little bit better.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't know.
Well,
But I think it's you still got to go through the steps, the motions, the whatever, uh,
yeah.
and get through it, whatever.
Well, if we're
But
all just a big ball of energy
yeah,
and some of our energy is being taken by other sources, parts of our body, it's for a reason, right? Which means that, we may not be as clear in our mind and our thoughts because a lot of that energy that does keep us clear and thoughtful is being utilized elsewhere in our world, you know, and it's one of those things that truthfully there's really not much you can do. I mean, you could, there's a few metaphysical things that you can do,
right.
which is outside of the materialistic world that we speak of, you
Yeah,
know.
I hear you. Well, I'll tell you one thing that did make me happy.
Didn't make you happy. Well, it
Yes.
could have if you would have looked at it a different way.
No, I'm going to tell you something that did.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail on the last video I posted yet.
No,
You know what the thumbnail is? The front.
I have no idea what a thumbnail is, dude.
It's the picture you see before you start the video.
So if I go to our website,
Yeah, it should be like the.
all right, let's see what it looks like. Two old goats. Okay. Is that you, asshole?
What?
Is that funny?
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious to you, huh? Okay. I need to freaking look at these a little bit more.
Well, the part that made me happy about it was I was kind of working on that for 3 days. Like I've been pretty much ready to post it for 3 days, but I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not. A lot of the stuff I was thinking of just wasn't jiving.
Yeah.
And finally, I said, well, and I already had something else. I have something similar to that, but not that good. And it's different title and everything. But I finally said, nah, it's got to go today. So I got to get it done. And then it started clicking and it all came to me. And I go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now this is right. This is how it's supposed to be. So I guess I had to stew on it for a couple of days.
Well, you got away with it this time
No, it's good.
because I did see the picture. I saw Columbo, but I wasn't wearing my glasses, so
Uh,
it's fuzzy. So it looked like Columbo.
uh-huh.
Now they got my readers on. I look down. I go, "You asshole!" I can see it now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Wendy's hat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like that.
me and Chris are in competition. I tell them here I win.
You win. That's good.
So anyway, that's fun. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Heck yeah. So talk more. So the materialistic thing. So when we look back at it, I
Well,
mean, this has been going on since the beginning of time.
yeah. Well, before we get into that, I want to talk to you about something too,
Okay.
real
What
quick.
else you got? You're gonna act like a damn woman and put about 14 different topics up there and get me all confused.
Right? Absolutely. You got to flow. You got to break down the walls in those boxes and get some flow going.
Okay. Let's go.
Uh, no, but we were talking about that, believing in that stuff, and I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it. Of course, listen to it, and anyway, so Nathan gets this call. He's a trainer, and he works at Conoco mostly, but also a place called the MAC, Memorial Athletic Club. But anyway, one of the things he's done over the years was he worked with handicapped or,
Disabled.
disabled, however you call it, politically correct, but whatever, autistic kids lifting weights and stuff like that. And he kind of got into it because it was an area that needed a lot of attention. So there was a lot of work. So just to get a paycheck. But what ended up happening was he had to learn everything in so much more detail because you have to break the movements down so much smaller for them.
Right.
So it ended up making him, he got basically his 10,000 hours pretty quick and pretty in depth. And so anyway, he's been doing some stuff. Well, Conoco put out some paper, some, announcements on LinkedIn about him and stuff like that. Well, one of his kids just set a state record for deadlift.
Okay.
He was the kid weighed 130 something pounds, and he lifted deadlift over 300 something pounds for a state record.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's got another kid coming up. He says that's a total beast.
Okay.
So anyway, what's happened was this little group heard about him. Hang on, I want to get the names right.
Well, while you're looking that up, I know, talking about that, getting that 10,000 hours experience.
Right.
I think for Nathan, it might have been 8,000 because I think 2,000 of those hours were personal experience because I think he's got a little touch of the ism himself.
No doubt. And I've been spending time with him lately, and I can vouch for that 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think there's a little spectrum going on there.
Part of his program, I mean, you'd be amazed. I was totally blown away by how prepared he is for all this. But anyway, part of his program, he's telling me, is to train these kids and then get these kids where they can help train other kids. Basically, give them a job, and they can be like the assistant trainer or whatever, and stuff like that. And that's kind of how they measure your success. And I'm like, well, that's what they're doing from the start with you anyway.
There you go. Right. That's good.
So anyway, yeah, this little group called Down for a Cure. It's actually two brothers, the Williams brothers, Nick and Jeff. And they started it because they have two sons one has cystic fibrosis and the other one I think is a little autistic. But anyway, they started this a while back and really got into it, and they're doing a lot of good work, and they're like big enough that they can make a big difference, but small enough that they're kind of filling some gaps. Well, they saw this stuff about Nathan, and they contacted him, and they said, we need you to do something like this in our field or whatever, and come talk to us. We're going to put it together, and basically we're going to get you grants and get this done. So they wanted him to come out Monday to introduce him to all the people. Well, it was a golf tournament they had. So basically at lunch, they wanted to say, hey, here's Nathan, here's what we're doing. And they announced it. But anyway, they did a real good job of it, and he did a real good job of it. And I didn't know, but I'm thinking this could be real big if you kind of approach it right, but you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
And he starts showing me, I do. I got a 6-month plan, a 9-month. I got a year plan, a 2-year plan, and here's where we're going to be, and blah, blah. Because I have it all on. He's got it all like autistically written down. So he goes, I've already started 6 books and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it was interesting as to see that, those people doing that kind of work and that they're really into it, and all the people out there were really into it.
Right.
It wasn't one of those. I used to go to a lot of those golf tournaments for whatever charity or reason. Some of them were pretty decent, but this one was really, they were there for the right reason and stuff. It was cool.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of those things are very, very successful.
Yeah.
If the center of it is about being of service and
Yes.
elevating others rather than elevating your bank account.
Yes, exactly.
So I think if that's the center of the program, you can't fail. The universe won't allow you to fail.
Right. Well, he's kind of, I mean, I got the feeling of by being around him, he's real grateful because he is like as far as details and all that information goes, training. He's way up there with the trainers and the knowledge. He has the knowledge. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he credits a lot of that to working with those kids. And
Perfect.
so he kind of feels like it's full circle to kind of pay it back and then get them working and contributing and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was when he first told me about it, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go listen. But it was at Walden, in Lake Conroe. So we had an hour in the car there and an hour in the car back. So I had plenty of time to listen to it.
All right.
But yeah, his deal's physical prosperity networks. So he's already got it planned out where it's going to spread out pretty good. And
Okay.
they got a plan of attack and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you should put on a link to where people can donate or people can help
Yeah,
support or whatever. Put a link right here.
I'll put a link to that, and then I'll put a link to the
See
website
my
of the.
hands? Put it right here.
Well, not over your face.
All right.
You
Put it
gotta
right
put
here.
up. You put up a hand, and I put up a hand because that's where I put it. No, your other hand. There you go. Put it right there.
Okay. There you go. Put it right there.
Yeah. No.
Your
No
other
homo.
hand. I
No
got your
homo.
other hand right here in my pocket.
Right. So anyway, I'll put a link for that down for the cure also.
Got it. Down for the cure. I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I met the two brothers too. Super nice guys and super into it, and been doing it for a while. They do 2 fundraisers a year, and one here and one in Colorado because
Okay.
one of the brothers lives in Colorado.
Nice.
So, and they're all connected to I think it's all oil business related. A
Yeah.
lot of them have business with Conoco and stuff like that.
Well, those are good backers. Those
Yeah,
guys have deep pockets that can really help out a lot of great causes.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, that was exciting, and I don't know. I'm trying to get Nathan to listen to the podcast just to get him ready.
This
So,
podcast or
not telepathy.
the telepathy
Yeah,
tapes?
telepathy tapes. So anyway,
All right.
I don't know if he'll listen to it and go, "Hey, they're telling my story."
Right. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, that's all I got on that. The material versus the.
The material. Well, I don't even know what the other world's called. I mean,
Uh,
I'm mostly familiar with the failures of materialistic world.
I think where they call it psi phenomena.
Psi, that's right.
Psi,
Psi.
psi
Yeah.
phenomenon. Psi this and psi that.
Right. Everything's
Yeah.
but I think we got to be a little bit more clear because, to in layman's terms, the materialistic world, we're thinking of, just diamond rings and houses and cars and shit like that. But I think the materialistic science field goes way deeper than that. And you can see over the thousands and thousands of years how we continually prove that world wrong. I mean, think about how many thousands of years did everybody think the world was flat?
Right. You're saying
Right?
we
That's the
continually prove the
materialistic.
old science is
Correct.
wrong.
We
Right.
we get stuck. We're like, okay, we know for sure it's flat now.
Right.
Okay. Because I walked for a long time and I never fell off. It's flat. Right.
Yeah. And our biggest problem is a generation has to die off before we freaking go to the new stuff, even though we
Right.
already know it.
Yeah. A few generations probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's been proven over and over and over how right when we're like, okay, we got to figure it out now. Oh shit, what about that?
Right.
Like there was an episode on Friends a long time ago, back in the '90s. You remember the '90s? Oh,
Like it was yesterday.
bet you do.
Because it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, Ross Geller, he does all the dinosaurs. Was that an anthropologist? And he was adamant about evolution, right? And Phoebe, she's a hippie, and he was trying to prove to her about evolution, and she's trying to mess with him and say, if you think about it, though, over all these years, every time you guys think you got it figured out, you got this little cute little box that you put it in. You just thought the atom was the smallest, and then you crack that open, and you're like, oh shit, we were wrong all this time.
Right.
So she's like, so is there just a possibility, an eeny, teeny, weeny possibility that you could be wrong about evolution? And he finally admitted, he's like, okay, there's probably an eeny, teeny, weeny. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you gave up on that. I never thought you were right, but at least I respected you because you had your ground. You stood your ground on your beliefs. And I just broke you. So now there's nothing.
Now there's nothing. Man without a soul.
Right. So I think that goes to, one thing that I learned early on in our program in sobriety is the how. I got to be honest and open-minded and willing.
Yep.
And if you're able to do that in all aspects of life, in relationships and conversations and thought processes, definitions, all this,
right,
you'll find out that you don't know
pretty quick. Well, and the thing about it is, a lot of times we figure out, it usually takes us a while to figure out this, but we figure out what we thought was exactly wrong. And I think that's what we're going to find out with this. I think this is the tip of the iceberg. Have you got to the part where it talks about consciousness?
It's in and out. I'm on episode 7 now.
Yeah.
So we just got done with John Paul, that 6'8", 300-pound young man.
Yeah.
And introducing the Hill. And then now I'm talking there's a bunch of all these teachers that are coming out saying they've been getting it for years, but they couldn't say anything because they get fired because everybody, I guess one teacher came forward and said it, and the parents had her committed to an insane asylum.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. That was in the podcast. Weren't you paying attention, sir?
I don't remember that. I remember people losing their jobs over it. They got their license pulled.
Yeah. Quite a few of them did.
See, that's the crazy stuff. That's been the history of man. That's what I was telling you. The hardest thing for us to overcome is us.
Right.
We won't get out of the way. Just like this, they're standing in the damn way with the old way of thinking.
That's instinctual, though, right?
Why not be open-minded and go, all right, cool, this is going to be easier. You know how much easier communication would be rather than to use clumsy words, and how hard it is to think of and pronunciate and,
right,
be able to understand my Southern accent. I mean, you don't have to have all that.
So why do we have it, though?
That's the question.
Where did it come from?
That's the question. Maybe when we got kicked out of the garden. I don't know. Something happened. But you're going to find out.
Wow. So
keep listening. You'll find out.
So when you're talking about telepathy, which I found out because I didn't know what's the difference between ESP and telepathy.
Remember ESPN?
Right. So I looked it up. Telepathy. So ESP is the mother. It's the umbrella of all.
Right.
Clairvoyant and the telepathy part, and people that can see the future and people that can see the past, it's all under the ESP umbrella, and telepathy is underneath there. So I didn't know that. It's interesting to learn all that stuff. But I believe in ESP. I read the book. I saw there's too many. They're not coincidences. There's no way that can be a coincidence. For someone to go back 300 years and know the color of a person's coat in a country that they've never been in a language they've never were taught, and be able to explain what's going on. You just can't do that. Not in this materialistic world.
Yeah.
Right. And then, listening to the the telepathy tapes is another eye opener. I wasn't familiar with it, but I got to the episode where they're talking about animals and people and pets. They're talking about that parrot.
Right.
And so I had always put claim with my pets is because it's good training. Like I can train my dogs, right? Because after she talked about how they were monitoring these pets, these dogs, when a owner would leave and when the owner would come back, the dog would know and get up and go to the door when that person was on their way back. And I never thought about it, but I was talking to Amy tonight about it. I go, if I think about it, when you and I go out, okay, and if you come back, now the dogs don't know who's coming back. They don't know which one. Like as far as like they don't have a picture, they can't see outside the door, right? But if you're the one coming back, they know and they'll come to the door when you're the one that opens up the door. But if I'm the one that comes back and opens up the door, Bailey, our girl dog, will never go to the door if I'm coming home. She stays on her bed because she knows that's what daddy likes. She's in bed and she wants to be a cute girl, right? But Buddy will stay in the living room and sit and just stare at the door. He won't come charging at the door. I always thought that was good training, but now I'm listening to these tapes. I go, but how would they know it was me coming home?
They know.
Right? There's something to it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but now I do. I said, shit, I'm telepathic.
There you go. Didn't know it.
With my dogs. Now, if my wife would just listen.
Well,
we'll wrap it up from there, sir.
There you go. Don't worry, we can cut that part out, right?
No, I want that one on there. She listens.
Well, it's gonna get to even some more interesting stuff it's gonna blow you away.
Okay.
You're just kind of at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think, the material part, you're about to that, if not right at it. But essentially what kind of the way we've always looked at the world is you have the, whatever you want to call it, the material world.
That's the five senses.
Right. That's we get our basic needs met, and then we go up the ladder. And at the top of the ladder ultimately is consciousness. Right? Or
no, it was awareness was the top.
Awareness, and then or consciousness or whatever, like awaken your consciousness. Wrong. Turns out that's exactly wrong.
Right. It's upside down.
It's upside down, 100%.
Just like our food pyramid.
Just like our food pyramid. It's exactly 100% wrong. Everything rests on consciousness.
Right.
And I'm a big proponent too. I don't know if you've gotten to that part, but I've heard this before, and I've believed it because I heard Willie Nelson talk about it years ago, back in the 80s, and back when he wrote the song On the Road Again. But that there's just one, basically we're all part of one big consciousness, or there's a consciousness going and we plug into it, or it plugs into us every now and then. Kind of like our spirit reaches out, or our spirit makes something open and available, so it comes in and checks to see if anybody's home, and I think it'll stick around for a while and then take off. Right.
Well, I think though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the tip of it is the awareness. The awareness then gets to the consciousness, and then from there it goes to the next level. But you have to have awareness first before you can tap into the consciousness. Is that right?
I'm not real sure.
Well, based off of what they're talking on the telepathy tapes.
Probably, but the reason I'm apprehensive about it is because awareness may interpret that to like all your senses are aware, and kind of that's one of the problems they try to do is block a lot of the senses. So they're not aware.
The senses aren't, but see, the senses that you're talking about are at the bottom.
Okay.
right? So it's the sight, the taste, the hearing, the feeling, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then it goes to the next level. I can't remember what she said there, but then there's the consciousness, and then at the top is the awareness.
Right. You
And then she
remember.
said, yeah, and then it gets flipped upside down because that's the way it really is. Our foundation is awareness. We need to be aware of where we're at. And then if we can be aware, then we can enter the hill where the consciousness is. That's why that John Paul, when he comes home, he runs upstairs and puts a bunch of pillows on his head because there's
Right.
so many distractions that keeps him away from the awareness. And if he can't break through that awareness part, he can't obtain the consciousness.
Okay.
Is how they were explaining it.
Okay. Yeah, that's better than I did. I knew the ultimate now was the consciousness, or the ultimate of the beginning is the
Correct.
consciousness.
Well, there's just it's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Well, and it's, bottom line is they think we're dumb for the way we communicate, and we're slowing them down by trying to make
Right.
them, type on a little board or however they're doing it. But basically, it's the only way we can communicate right
Right.
now. And we think we're doing them a favor, and they're slowed down by us. So anyway,
I agree with you. And the thing is a lot of us, we don't want that to be, those are parlor tricks, right? The whole mind reading and stuff. That's how a lot of us in the materialistic world, we look at that stuff. Those are parlor tricks. The only reason why they can touch those buttons is because her finger's on their forehead and she's doing some kind of code to them, or something like that. But the truth is if you really look at this world, a lot of us are telepathic without even knowing that we're being telepathic because we're not going to we claim it too. Oh, I just know him so well. I just know her so well. Oh, we've just been together for so long. I just know. That's the telepathic part. Some of the greatest sports teams of all time. How did that person know that Larry Bird's sitting behind him and he just flips the ball backwards, right? It wasn't part of the play. And if you ask him, he's like, I just had a feeling that I threw it back there, and sure enough, there he was. A lot of the quarterbacks, the Tom Brady's and stuff, they knew where people were going to be at without looking. That I think that's part of the telepathy. I truly believe that. A lot of times, like us as fathers, I don't know how many times I can't count on how many times on my hand where my kids were about to do something, and for some odd reason, I'd put my hand out and I'd catch them. Right? How did I know that they were going to do that?
yeah.
There was something like I could see it happening before it happens.
Yeah. Well, that with the athletes, that makes perfect sense because they call it getting in the zone.
Right.
You're totally focused, but basically your mind's clear because you're totally focused on that one thing, and they're in the zone. So,
right.
Yeah,
So
it would make sense.
that part of it would be the awareness, right? I'm
Right.
finally in my awareness. Now, once I tap into my awareness, I block out all that other shit. Now I can get into the conscious where, you were an athlete. Tennis balls weren't as fast. It was more like a slow motion. Like you could see the fibers on the ball as it was coming to you and you could look around.
It looked like a softball.
Right?
When you can see it good, it looks like a softball.
There you go. I know back in the day when I used to wrestle, I'd get into that awareness zone where I could see what they were thinking about doing before they would do it.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a sense there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Until I did the butt drag, then they were my little puppet. I knew exactly where they were going.
I was hoping we could skip the butt drag, but
hey, it's a wrestling move.
I guess it adds flavor to the story.
I wouldn't say that, but that is where I invented the Dirty Sanchez.
Go ahead, I'm not looking.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope I missed that.
The Dirty Sanchez or the butt drag?
Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
I had to put it somewhere. I didn't want to wipe it on me.
I understand.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right. Well, that actually goes into the whole telepathy, the materialistic, the conscious goes into this shot that I had today, the screenshot that I had today, and it talks about if you love yourself, you will love others. If you hate yourself, you will hate others. In relationships with others, only you mirrored, right? So that was interesting because I remember early on you had taught me that this is my world, how I want it, how I view it, how I want it to be, see it, whatever. It's exactly how I will let it happen. And if I don't want this to be chaotic, if I don't want this to be hatred and ugly and nasty, then I need to stop being ugly and nasty. Right? And then my world starts changing.
Yep,
And going
100%.
back to what you were sharing with me at the beginning of the podcast is it's what I want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that you're not going to have difficulties still or challenges and things like that, but truthfully, it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, and I think a lot of difficulties or challenges are misnamed because if I ask God for something, He's not necessarily going to hand it to me on a silver platter. He's going to say, okay, cool. Here's the path. Do the work. So get after it. Get the shovel. Let's go.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think a lot of times they take that as didn't fall in my lap. And
I think the bigger truth there is you have no fucking clue what you need.
that's right.
You have no idea.
None.
And then once you go through a challenge and you get what you needed, you're like, oh shit, this is what I really wanted.
Right.
I didn't want that other stuff.
And I promise you, the thing that you're holding on to is the thing you need the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't imagine living without it.
Well, we love the devil we know.
That's it. The devil we know. C.S. Lewis. Good job.
Well, we know. Well, we're comfortable with that. We're so scared of more suffering that we're going to be content with the suffering that we're currently at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even if it was a solution, it's the unknown. So another way I would say it would be fear of the unknown. At least I know the suffering now. I don't know the suffering of the unknown part. A lot of the wars and things like that were, they started putting up the walls for the Jews and stuff like that. A lot of that started out as the propaganda or the Americans are coming to get you. We got to put up this wall to save you from the Americans.
Yeah, all the lies he was saying.
Right. And then they go, oh, we got to put up this other wall over here because they might come from this way. And then they wait a little while and they put up another wall on the other end, same thing. Next thing you know, the Jews are looking around going, what the hell? We're walled in. That's what they do. So
that's what we do.
That's
Richard.
what we do.
That's what we do.
100%. So anyway, I don't know where we're going with that.
I don't know. You start talking about killing Jews and
no,
went off the wrong direction. I was talking about loving yourself, Barry. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I got to that.
Well, it's the lies that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
That boxes us in, and then because we don't really know what we want, and or what we need, and we create these boxes, or we're talking about the devil we know.
Yeah.
And we allow whatever that devil may be to put those walls on us to keep us in, to not let us, get out there and have that journey.
Right.
But even in that self could be another opportunity of growth. I had to put myself in a box for a while to truly learn how to break out, so then I can share that with other people that have put themselves in boxes. This is how I got out of the box.
Oh
But
yeah.
unless I put myself in that box, how would I be able to help others?
You can't. That's the deal.
That
That's
is
the
the deal.
good thing about having breaking out of a box is you know how to break out of a box.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Because there's going to be more.
Absolutely.
There's going to be more boxes, and you're
So
going to be
that,
able
I
to help.
mean,
Like you said, you'll be able to help other people break out of a
yeah.
box.
So it's all perceptions. It's not about what's actually happening around you. It's about how you respond to it. And sometimes you, for whatever reason, you allow like that to happen.
Right.
Sometimes it's you that's creating the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
just so you can get out of your own.
Well, yeah, and not paying attention to make an adjustment when we need to make an adjustment. Again, it's the lies we tell ourselves. It's this little chip doesn't make a difference. This little cookie, no big deal. It's a free cookie. It's those little lies that we tell ourselves. Normally, I wouldn't do this, but it's okay this time.
Right.
Once every now, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's just not.
Oh no, I hear you. And I heard you this weekend too. Do you remember I was telling you? I was like, hey, I got out of ketosis,
Right.
but I did it on purpose.
Right.
I knew what I was doing. I went out and had sushi with the wife, and I knew I was going to get out of ketosis.
Right.
And I called you up. I said, it's okay. I'll get right back in it.
Yeah.
And you told me this was your words. Okay. Now tell me if this is your actual words or my consciousness, like our telepathy, right?
Yeah.
But you said, oh, yeah, but not us. We can't do that one day thing.
Right.
Next you know, it's 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And I'll get out of this whenever I want to.
That's right.
I'm not addicted to this stuff. I can quit whenever I want.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I didn't stop until yesterday.
There you go.
It took me Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday
Right.
to get out of that shit.
And
I knew what I was doing.
I'll just refer you back to our previous podcast where we talked about stepping off the path and how it takes us further. Yeah. At some point you think we're not in control.
Yeah.
At some point, even all this materialistic world that we think we can manipulate all the materials and chemicals and turn our creations, our magic into trying to replicate or make better what God made already. Yeah. And we can't quite get there. I don't know what it's all about. So I don't think we understand what the goal is. Our thinking so far, everything we've done and tried and for generations that I've heard of was exactly wrong.
Right.
So I don't know. So
I personally, I'm just more about the journey.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of fun trying to recreate things. Let's see if this works. Try this out.
Well, I like Rogan's idea. He said, our place in all this is we make better crap. So that's our deal is we invent crap and we make better crap. Like better phones and computers and whatever. We just make better.
Right.
And that's our job. That's what we do. That's why we're so materialistically driven.
Well, talking about Joe Rogan, that's one of his lines is probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard when he talked about how, who was it? George Washington comes back.
Right.
Or no, it was John Hancock, Thomas Jefferson. He said he's coming back, to the future.
Right.
And he goes, y'all didn't create new shit?
Right.
I wrote that with a feather.
Right.
That was just for a moment. You guys were supposed to create new shit.
Right. That was just the start.
And that goes into the materialistic thing. We're not where we used to be. We need to be creating not just this new shit that keeps us away from the truth, right? But we need to be attached to that consciousness more often. And that means we're going to have to clear out some shit that keeps us away from the consciousness, the technology and all the BS,
Yeah, the things that make our mind go 90 miles an hour.
And you were talking about this last time that us humans have killed more than any other thing in this world is we've killed more humans than anything.
Right.
And it reminded me of this little, I don't know if it's a parable or a little story. It talked about how saying how this man comes into the forest carrying an axe, and the trees are all saying, "Hey, hey, hey, that used to be us."
Right.
And so the whole point is your demise doesn't come from a stranger; it comes from within.
Right.
And that was very interesting to me. I am my own worst enemy.
Huh.
We are our own worst enemy.
We are.
And listening to these telepathy tapes is really opening up a new view for me, just to reiterate the whole get the out of the way mentality.
Right.
I need to get myself out of the way in order to experience this world that I've never experienced. And that's important.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. And that's kind of what it's. That's where I am with it right now. Is that I see the value in the cleaning it out. Do your inventory, get things cleaned out. It's the only way you can get there. But
Yeah.
you can't get there carrying a bunch of junk around that you need to get cleared out. So
Yeah.
it speaks to our program, and I don't know. I think it's a good goal.
I think so.
Can you make it to the hill?
Well, that's the interesting thing is I actually do know a few of our family friends that have autistic children.
Yep.
Speaking and non-speaking, right?
Yeah. Isn't that what we rode for?
Yeah.
Yeah. MS 150.
Oh no, that's for multiple sclerosis. That's something different.
Oh, that was different.
Yeah, that's different. The autism part though is I do know a few people, and I get along really well with their kids that have the autism.
Right.
And some of them are a little bit deeper on the spectrum than others, but dude, I need to go back to them and talk to them, because based off of these telepathy tapes, they can teach you how to get to the hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm mad because I was friends with them and they didn't take me.
Wait till you see what else they can teach you. This is you're just on the tip of the iceberg. Wait till you do the next few. This is gonna blow you away. But yeah, you're right on track. So that's what I'm saying. It's where it's a reminder that wherever we think we are and how far along we think we've come and all this kind of stuff, we're just the beginning, just the very beginning.
Did I ever tell you what Jake did to me once?
There's no telling. Oh, you've told me what Jake's done to you several times, but I don't know which one particular you're talking about.
This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. He had come home and he goes, "Hey, I want you to take this pretest. It's for a project at school. Can you help me with this pretest?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Okay, just answer the questions as if you're answering for yourself." And so I answered them. And then he took it upstairs and came back down and he says, "You're autistic." I said, "What are you talking about?" Because the test I gave you was to see if you were on the spectrum or not. And he goes, You're on the spectrum more than I am." And I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe that's why those kids bonded with you.
It could be.
Could be. You never know.
I mean, he's explaining some of my tics and some of the things that go on in my head and how I think on certain things. And I could see it.
Yeah.
See, there's a little autism in there.
Yep. I could see it.
I bet you could.
Well, here's the bottom line. What you're going to learn, or what you're probably already putting together, is their whole thing is about love.
That's all I'm all about.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. If you got the tism, you're all about love, real love. Yeah.
But if you think about it, before I was introduced what love was, I was a very confused, violent person. Right. I couldn't communicate with people.
You were acting against your spirit, your own spirit.
That's because I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how. I didn't know.
Right.
I was trying to, and what ended up coming out was violence.
Right. It
I
did.
was just trying to give people hugs. That's all I ever wanted to do. Just love people.
I understand. Well, you were employed for that for a while, so that's good. Got to get it out.
Hell yeah. So going back to that if you hate yourself, you hate others. In relationships with others, it's only you mirrored. Give me some thoughts on that. What do you think about that? That it's only you mirrored.
Well, it's. I mean, they say, what are these? You spot it, you got it, or you're going to see your similarities, or you're going to see things.
Did
I
you just
guess
say
that.
who smelt it dealt it? Is that what you said?
No, but I was thinking that. I really was.
Ooh, telepathy.
There you
Smelt
go.
it dealt it.
Right. So, uh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, there's some parts, and I don't know the depth of it, but there's when you're thinking about when I love others, others will love me, right? I get
Right.
that in the greater scheme of things,
Right.
but there are some things in this world that are so dark and sinister that your love, no matter how much you want it to be, there's nothing you can do. And I don't think in that aspect, it's not a mirror thing. I think there's just some darkness in this world
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. That's what Ralphie May would say. That's one of his sayings.
Oh yeah,
So,
there's that.
yeah.
I'm talking more on the like sex trafficking type of thing.
Yeah.
And be careful with that because I'm sure that person that's in that situation, it's not that they're evil and wanting these horrible things to happen to other people.
No.
So I think there are some situations where that way of thinking doesn't fit. In that type of thinking, you can think like what you said about fire. Sometimes fire needs fire.
Right.
So fight like fucking hell and do whatever you can to kill and take out as many people as you can get.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, but I think for the most part, you're going to get what you give. That was one of the old sayings. If somebody they're not smiling, give them. If they don't have a smile on their face, give them yours.
right.
Because if you smile at somebody, what do? They smile back. It's just a natural reaction.
Right. And the general populace, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, for the culture that I'm familiar with. So, but yeah, I mean, you're gonna get what you give, and I think too, there's an element to attracting people that are either similar or whatever people that for whatever reason you're attracted to, or they're
Yeah.
attracted to you.
Believe
So
that?
just that it could be that you met up at the right times in your life. I mean, look at our relationship. We didn't have similar jobs. I mean, we have over time, but
You needed
to,
me.
totally different background. I needed you, and
You needed me.
the teacher appeared.
Yes.
The
I don't
student,
know how you made it
the
this
student was
far
ready.
without me.
I know, right?
White knuckling it the whole way.
Pretty much, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I understand.
So
So the like-minded attracts like-minded things. Is that why we're so lonely?
it could be.
I don't know. We
I
got
don't
ebbs
know.
and flows, brother. There's days when we look around, we got 12, 15, guys around us living life and wanting more. And then like the next day we go to the same meeting and it's crickets.
Crickets. Yeah,
It's just you and I were like, all right,
yeah.
what just happened here?
Right, right. Yeah, it's.
I can't explain it.
I don't know.
You know,
I think the hardest thing for people is it's hard for me too, but the hard part is the consistency. And I think we try to live the program.
Yeah.
We're not 100%, but we're dang knocking on the door most of the time. And there are some things that are non-negotiable. We get that call, we gone.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I hear you.
that's the deal. That's the relationship.
Well, I mean, that's, Jocko talks about it and David talks about it. I mean, the uncommon amongst the uncommon, there's not a lot of us out there.
No.
I'm not saying that I'm at those guys' level.
Right.
Physically, I'm not.
What?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If they came into town, I would go fucking run with them.
Yeah.
I would probably die along the way, but I wouldn't quit.
Right.
You want to do 100 miles? I'll do 100 miles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it ain't going to be pretty.
It's not going to be pretty. I understand. That's what Goggins' story was for his first 100. It wasn't pretty.
No, that was nasty. That was nasty.
So there you go. The first time you do anything is never pretty. It's just never perfect.
Yeah.
So you get better with practice. It takes practice. It takes whatever it takes.
Yeah. Heck, I remember when I first started doing 10Ks, I'd come home with broken feet and legs, and then I could do 10Ks every week and it wouldn't bother me. But then I was starting to get into the half marathons, and I'd come home with broken feet and broken legs again.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, something happened to me. I started thinking maybe I shouldn't go to extremes. Maybe I should just take it easy. Maybe I should. And that mindset killed me.
I heard a good foot exercise the other day.
A good foot exercise?
Yeah. For your strengthening your foot, the muscles in your foot.
Put it up somebody's ass?
No. Take it out, actually.
Take it out of their ass.
No. You put a towel on the floor.
Okay.
And you wrinkle that towel up with your toes.
Okay.
Like do it for 2 or 3 minutes every day. And that
like a paper towel?
No, like a towel, like a bath towel.
You crinkle it?
You like curl it up, like you're curling it up under your feet with your toes.
You're going to have to show me what this looks like.
Yeah, you just, with your toes, like here's the towel and you go try to scrunch it up under your.
Okay.
You got it?
Dude, where do you learn this
2 or 3 minutes a day.
Where do you learn this at?
I'm telling you. I'm an LAD, man.
Yeah, you're something.
I'm just saying. You know this.
You learned that half a homo.
See, I'm right, so you start calling names. I'm right. That will work. Try it. Try it for 1 week, 2 minutes a day.
I'm going to put that on the shelf next to the wrap your feet with onions.
Well, you're not sick right now. No. That would help your breathing and your asthma, though, at night, and your sleep apnea that you haven't treated.
I don't have no sleep apnea.
Yes, you do. You check the VA. You don't want to have it.
I don't think I do.
I don't want to.
I've been tested for that.
Yeah, no, you haven't. When have you been tested?
A long time ago. They said you don't have sleep apnea.
Yeah. Then they said, "Here, grab this gun and go over there."
Yeah.
No, you don't have nothing, kid. Go.
You're all good to go.
There you go.
I think a better exercise for foot strength is barefoot walking.
Yes. But this is barefoot walking, like you're essentially doing the same exercise.
Couch and cushy floor.
No, you do it standing up. And then when you get
stand up and crunch it with your toes.
Yeah, and then when you get to like higher level, you stand on 1 foot and do it with 1 foot. The balance on.
Do you just make shit up as you go? You just make shit up. You know no one's going to believe that. Where do you hear this shit from?
Why do you think I have such great foot strength?
Jesus. Here we go.
Here we go.
I know nothing of your foot strength, sir.
Well,
I
you're
have not
lucky.
seen your foot strength.
You're lucky.
The last time I saw your foot strength, you're like, oh, I can't walk on my feet. I have blisters everywhere.
No, that was never blisters. I had plantar fasciitis for a while.
No, I'm talking about when the first time I took you barefoot, you had blisters.
Oh, yeah,
all
that
over
was
your
stupid. Yeah. Here, let's go barefoot for fucking, 3 miles or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was about 3 miles.
3 or 4 miles through the weeds and the.
You didn't go through all the
junk.
big weeds.
We went through the sticker bushes right in the middle.
You didn't.
I did. I thought I did.
I said this is how you're a real man if you can go through here.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, no, I'm a real man that's going to go around stupidity or something like that.
I'm a real smart man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going around that.
Yeah. That's where the snakes hang out. No thanks.
That was too cold for snakes.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't have gone in there if there were snakes.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, that kind of wore the layers off the bottom of my feet that day. Kind of overdid it.
I understand.
Got to work up to that.
Cushy socks and stuff.
You got to work up to that.
Yeah, I can't talk too much crap. I haven't gone barefoot walking in a while.
Yeah. What's up with these thick ass sole shoes you're getting lately? It seems like they're getting thicker and thicker. I thought that wasn't the cool way to go.
They're thicker, but they're still zero lift.
Okay, so platform shoes are back in.
So, no, see now you're gonna make me mad, and I'm gonna start making fun of you, and
We got some bell bottoms.
I'm gonna hold back a little bit because you're not gonna want what's gonna come out of my mouth because I love you. So, no, sir. The reason is I was wearing the Escalantes, which are very thin sole. But because I put on so much weight so quickly, it was really messing with my shins. And my metatarsals were splintering when I was running because it's just too much weight. So I got the extra thicker soles that had more cushion, so then I wouldn't splinter my shins as bad when I was running. And it officially makes me 5'9.5".
Yeah. Sounds like a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
No, this gives me a little boost of confidence because I'm a little taller.
Okay. That's all about perspective.
But the real reason was because the Escalantes were too thin, and my triathlete coach was telling me that I'm putting so much weight and I don't have enough cushion when I'm running.
Yeah.
So I started getting the thicker soles, and now I just like the shoes because they look cool as shit.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. We learned a lot about shoes when we read
Born to Run.
Born to Run, yeah.
I'm listening to that again right now. He's at the hotel meeting the ghost.
Looking for Caballa Blanco.
Yeah, he's in there and he's listening to his stories right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
So, yeah, I cracked that open because I'm starting to run again.
Great.
In the morning, I'm doing my 3.5 miles, but I'm including some interval running with it now.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I don't want to.
Well, it's not about what you want.
But my higher self says run, so I run.
There you go.
But I don't want to.
Get after it. Well, that's a good sign. That's what you're supposed to do.
It tells me when I'm supposed to. I don't have any set time or anything like that. I just run.
Yeah.
And then I stop when it tells me to stop.
I like it.
So I'm up to maybe in my 3.5 mile that I do in the morning, I'm probably running maybe a total of 1 mile altogether.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a little more, maybe half of it, something like that.
Awesome.
So, but I couldn't do it without the fasting.
Yeah. Well, good. How's that going?
That's good. That's going. I'm back on track now.
Okay.
Took a 4-day hiatus.
Okay.
So,
That's all good.
how are
Yeah,
you doing with it?
I'm still doing pretty good. I haven't really. I mean, I ate some yogurt, no sugar added yogurt with some chia seeds and
Yeah,
stuff like that. I put some monk fruit in it, monk fruit sweetener.
with the erythritol.
I got to use it, dude. I spent like $16 or whatever it was. I'm
Jesus,
getting rid of it.
my bad. Yeah,
How much is that other stuff?
it's like $12 a bag.
You have to buy it online because I can't find it.
Yeah,
Everything.
it's. I sent you the link. It's the only place I found it was it's the company's called Bestie,
Okay.
and it's monk fruit extract, but allulose is in it, and dude, I've been able to take it every day, and I stay in ketosis. It
Okay.
doesn't affect me.
Well, I'm gonna order it.
Yeah, it's $12 for like a pound or something like that.
Okay.
Still more expensive than regular sugar,
Right. Oh yeah.
but I don't know. I guess when you start fasting like what we're doing, I still have the sweet thought, like I want something sweet, but then I just eat like a handful of blueberries. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right. That's not
Or
bad.
strawberries.
Yeah.
Strawberries are good.
Well, you said peanut butter was good, so I had a couple tablespoons of peanut butter the other night. But it
Make
was
sure
on
that
a night that I could eat.
does it have palm oil in it, or you eating the
That's got
good
all the
shit?
bad shit in it. I haven't getting good
Jesus,
peanut butter yet. I gotta go buy some. We gotta get rid of the bad shit first.
you just gotta throw it away. Stop being an alcoholic, Barry.
It's not mine. It's not mine to throw away.
It is yours. You're the damn head of the household. Throw the shit away. Be the example of your family.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to ask permission. You're the man. You know what to
Okay.
say, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, you know what to do. Go tell everybody what you are.
There you go. That's terrible. We'll
It's
get
terrible, but so good.
so good.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, that's
okay.
all I got, brother.
Okay. You and me both.
I don't know if we actually had a real topic tonight or anything.
Now we were kind of all over on some different stuff that all kind of tied together.
It's like two old people having sex.
No,
Slow
well,
and shaky.
I wouldn't have said that. I would have said that was some mind mapping or something that went haywire.
I don't even know what that is.
Come
Never
on.
even heard of that.
All right. Y'all get
That's
out.
all I got, brothers,
Okay.
sisters.
Y'all get out and get in the sun.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.